Welcome to A View from the Summit, where we explore the unique relationship between humans and animals. Whether it's an Olympic partner or couch buddy, a working companion or unique pet, a world champion, or someone you think the world of. Join us for a look at animals in our lives. Brought to you by Summit Animal Health. Hello, everyone, and welcome to View from the Summit. My name is Steve Searcy, and I'm just so pleased that you can be here with us today to learn some incredible stuff from incredible guests that we have. A dynamic couple that's making their dreams come true. But before I introduce those people, I need to introduce my co-host, Robin Benson. Robin is an equestrian from way back. Well, maybe not that far back. She's been. I have to be very careful. She's sensitive about how I position this. She's been a 3-day eventer. She's been a fox hunter. She has done barrels. She ropes. She lives on a working cattle ranch. And I'm going to spill the beans. She's now an avid goat keeper.
That's funny because we have a goat on the road with us right now.
See, aren't they the best? I mean, this is perfect. Welcome you all. See, what you are in for is a treat on the View from the Summit. We have fun. I'm so excited to be here today with Shane and Haley. And of course, Steve, always with Mr. Sunshine Searcy. And welcome you all. This is super fun. We all have a fun, just so many great things to chat about. Goats is, our daughter has 2 nanny goats that each had twins 2 weeks ago, and it's like cartoons every day around here. So we have a bigger zoo than ever before. But welcome you guys. We're so glad to have you on here.
Thank you for having us. We can't wait to discuss. We have lots of stories ourselves.
Perfect.
Well, for those of you that don't know, these 2 people are rodeo professionals. They're both living their dreams in separate directions, but they're a family on the road that's living their living their rodeo dreams. So Shane, tell us what your goal is and what you do.
So what I do is I am a 9-time PBR Finalist, professional bull rider finalist, and a 6-time NFR qualifier. And I won the world in 2011 and won the average at the NFR in 2016. My goal is to travel with my family. I don't go as hard as I used to. I'm getting older to be a bull rider. And so I'm 38 years old. I also continue to compete in the saddle bronc riding and train calf horses on the side. And so my goal is just to go and spend as much time with my family, be there when my little girl wakes up, win as much money as possible, and keep getting on bulls for as long as I can.
Well, all of that was good until you said keep getting on bulls, and after that, no, you're wrong there.
Eventually, I'll be done, and then I'll just ride saddle bronc horses and rope calves. But for now, I'm living the dream, following my wife and my little girl around. It's putting a lot more gray hairs in my beard, taking care of 2 trick riders, even more so than when I was getting on 223 bulls a year.
So Haley, tell us what you do. He already spilled the beans a little bit, but
So I'm the 4-time top 5 PRCA Specialty Act nominee, and I perform across the country for a living. So I'm hired, I'm hired personnel. So I'm a contract act. And so I get guaranteed money to come and perform, but I'm basically a halftime show at the rodeo. And I've been doing this since I was 5 years old. So
what do you do?
Oh, I Roman ride, I trick ride, and I've got a Liberty horse. So I stand up on 2 horses and jump through fire. I hang off the side of them. And then I have a high school Liberty Act too. And so I'm basically doing everything you're not supposed to do on a horse for entertainment.
So you are risking your life on horses while Shane is risking his life getting on bulls. You're both crazy. Now I know how you kind of met and got along.
You can say that. Our running joke is we just can't be hurt at the same time. And that's still holding true right now. So
love it. And you also have a daughter who is carrying on the generational tradition, right? She's already trick riding, right?
Yes, she is standing up on her pony anytime we turn around, and she wants to hang off of everything. And so, like I started when I was 5, basically because my parents caught me hanging off the side of my horse and standing up. My uncle was a 5-time NFR specialty act, and so I was just trying to be like him. And I got in trouble for everything I did. So they decided at 4 that I needed to start learning correctly, and I did my first rodeo at 5. And Cooley's already been out in front of the crowd at 2 years old. And so she's been coming in at the end of my act, and she stands up on her pony and waves, but nothing too dangerous or risky right now. She is 2. And so maybe in a few years she can start learning the correct way to do things. And we want her to choose that she wants to do this too.
But her goal is to save up enough money to buy another pony so she can go through a ring of fire, is what she'll tell you.
Yep, she picks up any dollars she can find, and she's been storing them and says that she wants to buy another pony.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, the proverbial monster, you didn't even have to create it. She just watched her parents, and there you go, right? And I can relate a little. My daughter has been doing the same thing. She stands up and rides on her knees and hangs off everything, but we rope and run barrels, and I'm trying to like focus her that way and not have her. She comes loping up the driveway bareback on her pony on her knees and standing up, and I'm like, how about we go to the roping pen? But
we rope and we run barrels too. And so Shane has highly encouraged her to be a breakaway roper and wants her to rope calves.
I love it. Well, I mean, what you guys just described is amazing in and of itself. But what really struck me, and Steve and I were talking earlier, is, I mean, you guys are still, he teases me all the time about when he says, when Robin was a lot younger, because, you know, I don't feel that old, but you guys are relatively young to accomplish everything you've accomplished, which means you started young, as you mentioned, but you've been working hard for your dreams since you were, you know, obviously this doesn't happen overnight. And a lot of people have aspirations and dreams in the rodeo world, or with their pony or with their horses or with their rope, you know, or riding bulls or whatever, but it doesn't just happen overnight. Right. And so to accomplish, I mean, you guys talk, oh yeah, I train calf horses on the side, or I run. When do you have the time to do this? And how do you guys figure out how to make progress? Because everything you just described takes a lot of practice and a lot of training, right?
So Shane's training is more so when we're home in the winter. So our winters slow down a little bit. And then we're back on the road in the spring. And then all of the horses I have on the road, like this year, I've got a lot of young horses switching in and out. And I've basically just been training on the road as well. So it's been even busier because instead of just getting ready for a performance, I'm practicing during the days. And it's taken a toll on us for sure this year. We've gotten tired. We're worn out. We've had 4 weeks home since January. Wow. And it's been my biggest and busiest year. And then Shane's just been on the road with me, and I think he's ready to get home himself.
Well, it's not like we travel with a couple horses. We travel with 6 horses, a pony, 2 dogs, and a goat at all times. So we are a funny farm on the road.
And a daughter.
And our 2-year-old daughter. And our 2-year-old daughter's wild. She's spunky, spontaneous, and sassy, sarcastic. She is the best of both of us and the worst of both of us at the same time, because she definitely puts us on, gives us a run for our money every day. And then we have the 6 horses with the 2 Roman horses, the Liberty horse,
the young Roman riding horse, a barrel horse that you can also breakaway rope off of, that Haley's been running at the pro rodeos, the pony, and we've been mixing a couple other young horses in and out to give them experience on the road, because the only way to get them used to what we do is to provide them give them the life experiences. And so it is always an adventure, no matter what, not just in the traveling, but also just training the horses.
So where are you guys based out of when you're not on the road?
So we're in Northeast Oklahoma. We are right at the Kansas line, so we're about an hour north of Tulsa. And we actually just bought a big piece of land there, and we bought an entire herd of cows after we left for the summer. So my family literally had to go and move them. They've been camping them. They've been doing everything for us because we're gone, and we feel horrible for that. but I got to go home for 2 days a couple weeks ago, so I at least got to see them. But we'll go home. Shane's actually fixing to go home and try to work some Kiefs, and then he'll be back out on the road, and they'll be ready to sell in October this year. So
well, I need to know your family, because we haven't left our place together since we bought our cows. I need to figure out how you do that, because we got
well, luckily we got 200 acres and 38 head of cows on it and calves, and so they right now they're maintaining themselves. We also have 3 horses still at the house, couple in training. It's an all year deal,
and it's an all hands on deck. We have a village that surrounds us, and they all know that we're gone for most of the year, and so they're very, very supportive of us, and especially my family back home. They will drop anything if something needs done at our house, and they go and take care of it. And so I'm really thankful for the people that stand behind us too.
And we have good neighbors for when calves get out.
That's extra important. So if you were to give some tips, I know we have a couple other topics to talk about, and we could talk about this forever, because you sound like, your life is similar to ours, just you took it in a different direction. But our daughter is totally feral as well. She's double bred. I told my husband, like, we're in trouble because she's double bred, hard-headed. But if you were to give some tips to people who are younger, who love their horses, love their cattle, love rodeo, what would you say would be a couple steps they can take? Sorry, my cat just sat in my lap with cat hair. That to go after their dreams. I know it takes years, but some encouragement and some tips for people.
I think in any avenue that you go in rodeo, finding a good mentor, because if you're roping, you're going to find someone that's going to teach you the correct way to do it. Especially what we do is dangerous. So getting the proper fundamentals and learning the safety aspects of it as well. When I started when I was 5, safety was the biggest issue, because my dad was very, very safety oriented, and so we teach all those fundamentals. I give lessons as well, just not very often, and that's the first thing that I go over. But finding a mentor and finding someone to guide you in the direction of your goals. So if you have a dream, obviously you should go after it and never quit. That's been the biggest thing, is we've had lots of setbacks over the years. We've had lots of heartache over the years, but you just can't let it face you, and you got to keep moving forward. But having that ear to go to, and someone to listen, and someone to guide you as well, is always a big influence.
And starting with the basics, without the foundation, you can't progress to the next level. And so you have to be rock solid on the foundations and make sure you're doing it right, not only for your safety issues, but because for safety wise, the longer you can do it, the more money you can make it.
That's a great point. And so, I mean, we always see your victory photos, right? We see people's highlights. We see you jumping through the ring of fire. We see you riding bulls and winning. What about the broken ribs? What about the things that happen? How do you deal with it? What are some of the tools you use to maintain yourself and get back on top of your game?
Honestly, a whole lot of praising God, even in the valleys. We've had a really rough few years. We keep saying each year we're like, oh, it's going to get better, and then something hits us pretty hard. So the last few years we've just had a whole lot of vehicle troubles. Last year I lost one of my good horses, and so this year we came out. We were coming from Washington to Oakley, Utah over the 4th, and we blew an injector in our toter home, and the injector tip flew through our motor. So our toter home that's got our whole living quarters in it is actually still sitting in Burley, Idaho, because they haven't found a motor for it. So we bought a 93 motorhome. I bought a 93 motorhome while I was performing in Wolf Point, Montana. It only had 48,000 miles on it. We bought it for $7,000, but we've had to drive 2 rigs everywhere this summer, but just to have somewhere to live on the road, because we were basically homeless with a 2-year-old and no living quarters. And so that hit us pretty hard. It still is, because we know that we're gonna have to buy the motor whenever they find one, but it still isn't comparable to some of our worst years. We've lost people, we've lost horses, we've gotten injured. Shane's taken on more injuries in the last few years than anyone I know, and kept continued riding through them, and he's the toughest human being in the world. But sometimes I have to be the optimist in the relationship.
Well, that's
When
good.
you break 6 ribs and puncture a lung, it kind of put you think it's going to end your season. Yes, I was sitting 14th in the world last year, and I broke 6 ribs and put a hole in my lung. And I was spent 5 days in the hospital, but 10 days I come back and rode at my first rodeo because we only had 30 days left in the season. And so it was something that it was a personal choice, and just being really stubborn is a help to it. I love competing. I love what I do. It's the goal and the drive of doing something that's not supposed to be done is what keeps me going in those times where you're where you should be focusing on the pain, where for that, I focus at the goal at the end of the road. It's always an adventure, and you're going to have heartaches, and you're going to have lumps and bruises, and that's the thing, is you just push past through it. It's something that you can focus on not feeling the pain for 8 seconds is what I say. You can focus to the end goal, and that's something that I've been really been able to do well, is pushing past my limit to get to the next level. And that's kind of been my whole drive through my entire career, is to do something that they say shouldn't be done.
And what a great nugget, right? For any kind of goal that you're trying to hit, right? So you can push past the pain or the hardship for 8 seconds or 10 seconds or one day, or, one step at a time. That's really profound if you think about it. When you have to be so hard-headed and driven to your goals that you just, whatever struggle is in your way, right? So kudos to you guys. That's pretty incredible for
it's a great life philosophy.
Yeah.
Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. And you guys are, man, you're on the roller coaster. How fun.
You can't be great without taking chances, or another thing is, if you can't take the pain, you don't play the game. So you're going to have hardships, but you push through.
That's terrific. So you've got 6 horses and the goat, and they're in a trailer a lot. How do you handle all the travel and maintain their health? Because they have to be in peak condition to get out there and do what they do. But if they're in a trailer.
So we make we have a 2-year-old as well, so it gives us more incentive to stop a little more often. But we won't go in the trailer over 10 hours without letting them out. We like to stop before that. We let them out, move around. A lot of times we'll lay over for the night and then head on to the next place. We did have to make an all-night drive this last week, and I had left a horse back in Montana that I knew wouldn't take the trip as well, with some friends of ours. She's got navicular, and I've been battling that on the road too. She's one of my good horses, and she's my fire-breathing dragon. She loves her job. She's not ready to be done, and I'm not ready for her to be, but I'm giving her a little bit more extra care. And I just left her because I had a young horse that I knew could take on the rodeo I was heading to. And then I picked her back up whenever I came through for Gooding. And so she got to perform last weekend in Gooding, and then I'll perform on her again tonight. But I've been trying to give them breaks. So now that I have a couple of the young horses I can switch in and out, I've been trying to let my older horses have a day off here and there, and I'll rotate them out so that they get a little bit more breaks, and they feel a little bit better. But keeping their health is a main priority of mine. I was outside. I actually just gave a round to Summit this morning, and then I was outside using our Beamer blanket last night until almost midnight, just on everybody. And I told Shane it's probably we're in that time of the year where everybody's sore, everybody's tired, including me and my horses. And so right now I'll probably be spending a lot of late nights out working on them and trying to keep them feeling their best.
So you mentioned you use Summit. Can you tell me a difference that you noticed in your horses before Summit as opposed to after you started using Summit?
Yeah, so all of my horses feel better. I know that's just a broad term, but I have one horse in particular, the horse with navicular, and then she has horrible hocks and stifles. And so over the spring, I was in total meltdown mode because I thought that she was going to be done. her back stifle kept locking up on us. And so that's right before we had started Summit, and we started using it on her. And we also did some vet recommendations on shoeing. We put wedges on her in the back just to help her out a little bit more with corrective movements. And since I've been using Summit, she hasn't had a locked up stifle. So that has been a huge improvement, because that was what the navicular itself, it's really just keeping her pain maintained and keeping corrective shoeing on the front end too. But the back end was her sore spot and what was hindering her. And so I really did think I was gonna have to retire her beginning of the year, and she is still going strong right now. So
That's terrific. Well, I want to know, when are we going to see a goat on the back of a horse with you?
Well, she was up at the rodeo last night with Cooley. Cooley had led her up there, and she was begging for food like a dog. But I don't know if we'll add a goat into the routine anytime
Maybe
soon.
Cooley will add the goat into her routine. When she gets her other pony, she can lead with the goat and stand on the two ponies. Maybe by the time she's 5, they'll have their whole act together.
What kind of goat is it? Is it a Nigerian dwarf or is it a big one?
She's a pygmy goat. And
Okay.
but she was actually, I think she was a little bit stunted like before we got her as a baby. And so she's really not very big. She's pretty small. She fits in a dog kennel whenever we put her in the trailer, and then we just tie her up and she runs around the rodeo with Cooley.
She even begs like a dog.
Oh my gosh. That is hilarious. Your very own circus. I love it. So
We are a traveling circus.
What's the best thing about that, Shane?
It's an adventure every day.
And getting to see our little girl live such a large life, because she gets to do a lot and see a lot on the road. The last 4 weekends there's been a fair set up at every rodeo, so now she just thinks that it's obligated to her that she's going to go ride rides. And there's one right behind our back door, so keeping her off of them yesterday was a little bit of a task. We told her we'd take her today. But she gets to ride her pony every day. She gets to lead her goat around. She mauls our dogs all day, every day, but she's also getting to form relationships. So she has 2 little girls that are on the road there. Their dads are both contestants, and she gets to see them several weekends throughout the summer. And so those are her best friends, she says. And she gets to make a lot of friends on the road and form the family that we've gotten to as we've been out here.
And the story behind the goat is, when we went to Rapid City for the rodeo, they had 2 baby goats there at the petting zoo. And Cooley fell in love with them. And so she asked her papa, who's her great grandpa, if he would get her a goat. Well, 30 days before we were set to go on Summer Run, which is about 6 months of us continuously on the road, her and Papa went to town for a couple hours to hang out, and they come back with a goat, which now meant the goat was making the run with us. So that is the story behind Oreo, the famous goat.
Oreo,
And Papa snickered as he drove away.
Yes. She's got her Papa wrapped around her little finger, so she gets whatever she wants.
Good for her and good for Papa. I
Love
love it. That's so funny.
He actually just left yesterday. He'd been traveling with us for the last 2 weeks. So her, Papa, and Oreo have some great adventures.
That's wonderful.
That's
Shane,
super.
so what has been your experience with Summit? Have you used the product?
We
And-
literally just have it right here because we just took it. That's what I was drinking.
Yeah, so I have I use the Pure C4 mainly. For me, because I'm old for a bull rider, I'll throw that fact straight out there. Everybody I'm competing against could be my kids. They're 18 years old, and I just keep getting older, and they just keep staying the same age. There's always a new crop of fresh faces popping up. In my rodeo career, I've got to see a lot of the next big kids come and go. I've been able to continue my career. And so I was told about it by Clint Corey at the NFR this year. And so they got me on it for the week. And I started noticing a big change in the way my hips feel. Because I'm always dealing with hip issues from riding bulls and the long travel. I have 8 anchors in both shoulders from 2 shoulder surgeries, and I just feel like they move a little bit freer. It's been able to allow me to where I rely a lot on flexibility. It just keeps my muscles loosened up and feeling good, so that I'm more maintenance free with everything. And that's the one thing I've really noticed, and even a little bit of a boost in energy level, which is always a great thing when you're traveling as much as we do.
Well,
That's awesome. And you can just imagine, since you personally experience it, how your horses feel, right? Or your dogs or whatever animals are on it.
And so that's what, when people ask us, they're like, do you, does it really work, or does it? And I'm like, I honestly can't tell you how my horse feels. I can see a difference. They can't put them into words, but us using it ourselves, we can feel the difference. So we know it has to be doing something for them if it's doing something for us. And so I've got horrible knees. Whenever I'm Roman riding, my knees are basically shock absorbers up there. It's like being on an elliptical and a stair stepper all at the same time. So my knees, especially this late in the summer, they start bothering me. And Shane had actually hogged all of this. He had it with him in his rig, and I just got back on it last week, and I've already felt a huge difference in my knees because they were really, really bothering me last week. So
just so you know, it was in your trailer.
Well, I didn't know where he put it.
He was hiding it.
Yeah. This is what 6 months on the road does to a relationship, right?
When you're together 24/7 for 6 months, it creates interesting.
It makes for some long days, but short. What they say, the days are long, but the years are short. So
That's fabulous. So where are you off to next? What's your next big gig?
we head to Ellensburg, Washington next weekend, and it's their 100th year. Ellensburg is a very well-known rodeo. It's it's one of the biggest ones all year. I do Ellensburg, Lewiston, and Pendleton, which
you should explain where Lewiston is.
Lewiston, Idaho, and Pendleton, Oregon. And they are all a part of what's called the Big Four rodeos in the PRCA. And so I'm getting to work 3 out of the 4 of the Big Four. And Pendleton is I've gotten to work Pendleton twice before, but everyone has their one rodeo that is their dream rodeo. And Pendleton is definitely mine. The last year we were there, we did Roman riding races on the track. And so this year, Madison McDonald's coming in to perform with me, and they have us set to do a race. She's just standing on 1 horse. I'll be standing on 2, but we are set to do races all 4 days of Pendleton. And so it's a huge adrenaline rush, but you really don't want to fall off because you're going way too fast to hit the ground.
Oh man, that sounds exciting. So like, you guys live at an adrenaline rush. Like, what do you do in your downtime? How do you ever relax, or is that just not in your nature?
It's really not in our nature.
We really don't have time to relax.
No, here lately, because like we like when Cooley lays down a nap, we at least try to lay down with her anymore, because if not, we're just so exhausted. Last week, after I'd driven like 54 hours last week, and I'd made 2 all-night drives, and I kind of hit a wall that I hadn't hit all summer, and I was just exhausted. And I was kind of in a funk performing, I was just tired. And so I told myself I was going to lay around all day. And I did. I fed horses. I didn't work any horses. I laid around all day long. And Cooley actually was down to watch movies that day. So we just laid around and didn't do anything. And I felt like a new person the next day. So I guess taking that time for yourself is necessary too. We're just not very good at it. We like to be on the move, and we always feel like something needs to be done. And so after we get off here, I'm fixing to go work a couple more horses. I run barrels tonight after the rodeo in the slack, and so I need to go work him as well. And I got a lot of irons in the fire right now, but we only get to do this once, so we're enjoying it.
Shane and Haley, wow. Truly, this has been one of our, I think, top interviews here. You've shared, there's so much philosophy truly in what you do, and so much I guess dedication and living in the moment and making it happen. You're really inspiring. You really are. And we really thank you for being on here. We do want to keep following you, because by golly, we want to see that goat on top of a horse. Robin, do you have anything else you want to add?
Man, this has been so fun and we could go on all day, but if you're listening today or watching, because it's up on YouTube as well, where can we find you guys? Like if people want to follow on social media or website, where can we find you to keep looking for that goat or whoever on top of a horse?
So anything I post to Instagram gets posted to my Facebook as well. They're linked anyways. So my Instagram is Haley, HALEY_trick rides. And then Shane.
And my Instagram is where you'll find me best. Instagram, Facebook is the Shane Proctor. I guess it's THESHANE Proctor, PROCTOR. And you'll find lots of our adventures. You'll find lots of Cooley's adventures on there. It's best way to keep up with us.
Awesome.
Well,
so go follow them, y'all, if you're listening. I know we follow them and love the adventures that they go on. It's just so much fun to see your success and your progress. So if you're listening, make sure you subscribe. Every week we launch a new podcast episode full of nuggets and inspiration. Thank you, Shane and Haley, both for being on here. And if anyone listening has questions for Shane and Haley, feel free to drop them a message or us. You can email Steve. Steve, you want to share your email if you have questions or suggestions or people you'd like to see on here. We all love animals and caring for them and ourselves because it's part of the adventure, right? So thanks, Haley and Shane again. And Steve, how do people reach you?
Steve@eternapure.com. Steve@eternapure.com. And it's that easy, and we love to hear from you. Shane and Haley, thank you very much. I think next time we'll get rid of you and interview your 2-year-old. She sounds like she would just be a blast. And with that, that's the view from the summit. Thank you all very much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us for A View from the Summit. This program is made possible by Summit Animal Health. Check them out online at summitanimals.com. Thanks for joining us again, and we'll see you next week for another View from the Summit.